This is one of my favourite little perch fishing plugs. It's got the classic South Bend, if you like, red head and silver white body of it, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have something similar to this, and the little rubber lures that I use when I'm drop shotting to get some additional patterns. But because the chap who listed on a certain website some items of fishing tackle didn't use a scale, and because I didn't look, I bought this. Now, you may see the flaw in my plan. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to find a rod to cast it, because I think, well, it's certainly bigger than most perch I catch, and I think if I lob that into the shoulder perch, they're going to frighten them off. So he also had other, what I thought were little jigglers. This weighs a pound. I mean, come on. So the video is not about that. It's about condition, rarity, and demand. Now, we often, on a daily basis, we get all sorts of inquiries. I've got an old rod, I've got an old reel, how much is it worth? So we say, can you send us some photographs? And here's why. If you do happen to have a super reel with all the dark lead finish, with all the finish on the copper, all the finish on the back plate, the foot is the right length, oh, it works lovely, it's worth that much. If you have another reel like this, where the handle looks a little odd and loose, that's because it's wrong and it's been replaced. There's a hole in the other side of the winding plate, sorry, where the handle originally has come from, so it's got a drilling, it's got an additional drilling. The foot is filed. Sounds horrible. It's got what they call drum rock, where the drum going through, the pillar going through the spindle, the main drive on it is worn, and what you get is, after a while, it starts to bind when it's used. So that is worth that. So a good one's up there, not very good ones down there. Because it's rare and it's old, it doesn't mean it's valuable. You need three things in any collector's market. You need condition, rarity, and demand. Without one of them, the whole game falls apart. You can have the rarest thing on the planet in mint condition, nobody wants it. Example, a Daiwa reel that I fish with regular. I've just had it serviced for £4.50. Well, sometimes you've got to throw money at it, don't you? This is a 1960s Daiwa, built in Japan. It's absolutely lovely. Bail arm, clunk, lovely. Ratchet, oh, silky smooth, as good as any Shimano today. Screw fold handle, it's got all the finish and everything else. It's probably worth about £10. So you can have a mint item, you can have a rare item, but if nobody wants it, you're going to keep the mint rare item for the rest of your life. If you take this same principle to rods, we get offered a lot of rods. The favourite one is, this is Grandad's rod, or I found it in the loft. He's never fished with it for 40 years. Okay, the rod's 100-year-old, so somebody's fished it for 60 years before that. So the story starts then to be a little bit foggy. When we look at rods, split cane rods in particular, what we're looking for is originality and parts of the rod sections that are correct. Our standard way of testing them is, do not assemble a rod, stand it all together. You'll immediately see there is, if you can see against my hand there, there's an inch difference between the two top sections, so something is wrong there. If you match the eyes up, they don't. If you match the eyes at the top to get somewhere near, there's a piece missing off the bottom. So what we've got here is a fly rod with a spare tip that's short at the bottom and short at the top. Okay, you might say it's a spare tip, but it came with the rod as factory complete. Additionally, when we take a closer look at the rod, we see the butt ring is missing. It's not instantly noticeable. Now, we don't expect anybody out there who doesn't have fishing tackle in their life to understand or to even look for these faults, if you like faults. That's why we ask for images, good clear images. So when you're photographing a rod, you take an image of this area, you take a photograph of any of the logos around the cane where it meets the cork area, butt ring, or where it should be a butt ring, and the tips with the butts placed together. That immediately tells us the rod is short. You're not going to send it to us and get the bad news afterwards. It's going to save you the money sending, and we can recommend another route. It's the same with reels. We take a picture from the front, you take a picture from the back. If you can, a picture of the foot blade, because these are commonly filed. And if it's not too difficult, a picture of the inside. If you're unsure how to do that, email us and we'll tell you how to take the reel apart. What that does is that will give you an indication, a broad indication of the value, rather than say it's anywhere from £50 to £500. That's called a guess, and that doesn't help anyone. So pictures and photographs are important. Go onto the website with anything you have. To start with, we always say don't do it individually. Do a tabletop type shot here. A couple of pictures, send them through. We'll have a look around them and say, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I need a puffin lure. I definitely need one of them. Ow. And that's a sharp hook. And then that'll give us a starting point to come back to you and say, we could do with a couple of further images of, say, this, this, and this. That then allows us to give you an accurate price. If you take out of your mind fishing tackle and think of dinky cars, if this Ferrari had a broken windshield, missing a reel, half the engine was missing, and there's no door on one side, you probably wouldn't want it. So it's the same with any collectible. Condition first, then rarity, and then demand. So get your camera whizzing. Anything you've got, send us a couple of images to the website. There's just a click button on there. It's dead simple. And we'll come back to you with a guide valuation, and let's hope we can do some business. I'm going to find a rod for this. Yeah.